As the title suggests on this video, we will be covering the Type 191 service rifle that is currently being fielded by the People's Liberation Army of the People's Republic of China. We will discuss the development of the rifle, what it replaced, and the generic history of the Chinese military rifles post of the Communist Revolution. Following 1949 in China, the main figure is Mao Zedong, and the former Chinese Red Army was reformed and reestablished as the People's Liberation Army. The Hanyang 88, chambered for M88 caliber, it is a Chinese production of the Gewehr 88, the German Empire's bolt-action rifle. This is used by the People's Liberation Army during the Chinese Civil War and during the Korean War. This was mainly utilized by PLA militias and also as a training rifle. The Type 55, also known as the Chiang Kai-shek rifle, chambered in 7.92 by 57 millimeter, is obviously a Chinese production of the Mauser Kar-98K. Now, the communists seized copies of it and made their own in 1941, but named it as the Type 55 in honor of the 55th birthday of Communist Revolutionary Zhu Dai, who was also in the Chinese Red Army. Now, this would be in service until the 1950s, when it was ultimately replaced in main service by the Type 56 rifle and carbine, and it remained in PLA militia services until early 1980s. The most famous of the Chinese rifles would be the Type 56, chambered in 7.62 by 39 millimeter, and that it is a Chinese production version of the AK-47 and AKM rifles of Soviet origin. This was referred to in PLA service as the Type 56 SMG, since that is the role it played in the early years of service. It was replaced in the 1980s and 1990s. However, it is still used by the PLA today in both a reserve and or militia unit. Now, there have been various different models of the Type 56 produced. The Type 56-1 with a underfolding stock, and the Type 56-2, which has a side folding stock. And this rifle has also been widely exported around the world to various countries. The Type 56 carbine, chambered in 7.62 by 39 millimeter, is the Chinese production of the SKS rifle. Production began in 1956, and it would eventually be replaced by the more favored Type 56 SMG in military service, known as the AK copy. Now, it is in service today still, but mainly as a ceremonial rifle and very limited PLA militia use. The Type 63 is a modified version of the Type 56 carbine. This is also chambered in 7.62 by 39 millimeter. Production on this rifle was from 1959 to 1963 and would see some service in the military from the 60s up until 1978, give or take. And it was replaced due to reliability issues. This was being produced during the Cultural Revolution, and needless to say, there were some quality control issues that kind of led to this being replaced, but this would go on to inspire the Type 81 rifle in Chinese military service. The Type 81 rifle, chambered in 7.62 by 39 millimeter, would replace both Type 56 rifles and the RPD in service, and it basically succeeded where the Type 63 did not succeed. Now, this was in PLA service until it was replaced primarily by the Type 95 rifle, but it does remain in service today with military reserves and with police units within the People's Republic of China. Now, there is a Type 81-1, and there's also the Type 81 light machine gun variant, which also saw military service as well. In recent years, the Type 81 has primarily been utilized for executing criminals who have been convicted by the Chinese court of committing various crimes from murder, drug trafficking, public corruption, and this would make sense since it is now mainly a law enforcement rifle. The Type 95 rifle, also known as the QBZ-191, chambered in 5.8 by 42 millimeter DAP. This entered PLA service officially in 1995 and was debuted during the handover of Hong Kong in 1997. Now, this is the main rifle of the People's Liberation Army, even in recent years, up until its replacement by the QBZ-191. Now, this rifle replaced the Type 81 in service, and this is also utilized now, the Type 95, by military, law enforcement, and at some point it will be transferred to reservist units as the QBZ-191 becomes more widespread. The QBZ-03, known as the Type 03, chambered in 5.8 by 42 millimeter DBP-87, or it can be exported in 5.56 by 45 millimeter NATO. This rifle has been in service with the PLA since 2003 and mainly serves as an alternative to the QBZ-95 as a more conventional non-bullpupped rifle. Now, this rifle is what led to the development of the QBZ-191. Now, this rifle does remain in service within China with various military units and armed people's police units as well, and as border guards, who can also utilize this rifle as well. The QBZ-191 is going to be chambered in the 5.8 by 42 millimeter DBP-191. Now, this officially entered PLA service in 2019, with the development starting in 2014, and there were leaks of the rifle that came out between 2016 and 2017. This was first debuted in 2019 at a People's Liberation Army parade, and it's going to improve off of problems with the QBZ-95 in service. Those concerns were mainly unsatisfactory and ergonomic problems with the QBZ-95 in service. The QBZ-191 has been gradually replacing the QBZ-95 in PLA service since 2019. QBZ stands for, excuse my pronunciation, Qingwoki Bokyang Zaidong, which translates to light rifle automatic. The QBZ-191 has been issued to Army units, it's been issued to paratrooper units, various units of the Special Forces have been issued this rifle. It also has been issued to members of the People's Armed Police, who have also been fielding this rifle as well. Now, there are a few different variations of the QBZ-191 that have been entered into military service. Originally seen in all black, the QBZ series of rifle now seems to have a tan colored version. There's also the QBZ-192, which is a shortened barrel version used by Special Forces. There's the QBU-191, which is the marksman rifle. And there's also the Squad Automatic, which can also accept a drum magazine if needed. I would say with the United States military's adoption of the Sig Sauer M5, chambered in .277 Fury, which packs more of a punch than the 5.56 by 45 millimeter round, and then you also have the Russian military industry testing this AK-22 that is chambered for the 6.02 by 41 millimeter proprietary round. I would say that it is very safe to say that the Chinese military is watching both the United States and Russia closely in what their ballistics development is. And I would say that the Chinese military would at some point make some changes to the QBZ-191 to where it could fire a bigger, more hotter round that could pierce various types of body armor and, anti-personnel capabilities as well. Because the Chinese military wants to be advanced more so than the United States and Russia. and I would say there's going to definitely be continued further development on the QBZ-191 series of rifle.